Daughters of the Dust marked a long overdue turning point. Julie Dash's 1991 film received the first general release of a film directed by an African American woman. Let's talk about this film and the quote, LA Rebellion, an influential movement of African American filmmakers Dash worked with. Dash's film itself tells a story of a turning point in which Gullah Geechee family members move away from their home in the South to the North, a journey represented with lush imagery and narration expressing the lore, the stories, and the feelings of family members. Daughters tells a story in a way described by Roger Ebert as a tone poem. A film as a poem may turn off some people, but Dash shares this bold format as a counter to normal, top-down narratives. Daughters wants to show and evoke. The movie asks the audience to luxuriate with the characters and their joy and melancholy, more than tell us how we should feel. This experimental approach bears influence from the UCLA Film School in the 1970s and the 1980s. UCLA in the 1970s served as the home of a group of filmmakers who aspired to create alternative films better reflecting the lives of African Americans. Scholars call this group the LA Collective or the LA Rebellion. The LA Rebellion found themselves drawn to similar influences and similar film aspirations. They wanted to go beyond just making different movies. To explore the lives of African Americans, they sought different storytelling styles. Beyond inspiration from political and contemporary discourse, especially the Black Power movement, they found inspiration in independent films from filmmakers like American John Cassavetes and Belgian Chantal Akerman, who showed characters in their films in understated, humane, and matter-of-fact ways, usually through daily routines. They also sought films and inspiration in Africa and the African diaspora, such as the films of Senegalese filmmaker Ousmane Sembène and films like Tuki Buki. Filmmakers of this movement, like Charles Burnett and Ethiopian-American Haile Gerima, sought new strategies to make films. One way was collaboration. As noted in the 2015 book LA Rebellion, these filmmakers translated film as social practice to social practice of filmmaking. Instead of the traditional above-the-line and below-the-line top-down process of role delegation, filmmakers aimed for a more collaborative process of filmmaking. Instead of stories with a single main character, filmmakers experimented with multiple main characters and points of view. The LA Collective's theoretical work empowered changes on how to make films and how to tell stories. Films like Bush Mama and Killer of Sheep showed audiences the power of stories about African Americans by African Americans. These films offered a more social way of storytelling with multiple narrators and by showing imagery of characters' routine process as a way to reveal story. Filmmaker Julie Dash came to LA after completing her undergraduate studies on the East Coast. Studying at UCLA, she released her thesis film for her Master of Fine Arts degree in 1982 titled Illusions, a 34-minute film about an African-American female film executive passing as white. For her next film, she would spend years trying to secure financing for a project personal to her, a feature-length film about the migration of Gullah Geechee people from South Carolina to new places in the northern U.S. Dash, a Gullah descendant, wrote about how her family never spoke about this migration when asked because of the pain. Quote, when things go too personal, they would close up. She chose to tell the film through memories to take her family, quote, back inside our collective memories. For those who do not know much about Gullah Geechee people, on the coastal islands of South Carolina and Georgia, enslaved Africans worked rice and indigo plantations in relative isolation from the rest of the country. These descendants developed a unique culture that retained many of their West African practices, crafts, language, and food ways. In Daughters, Dash shows how important this culture is for the Gullah Geechee people, especially elders at the turn of the century who sustained their cultural autonomy. She also shows the tension of these elders like Nana and their experience with younger people like Viola, Nana's granddaughter who left and settled in Philadelphia, pursuing a more individual life. Dash's film employs multiple narratives and memories of characters feeling the loss of kinship, what characters want to hold on to, and a distinct culture in a world pursuing assimilation. Through this, we see the LA's rebellion's influence of social practice through narrators and the social act of constructing story and experience. When Daughters completed, distributors rejected it. Successful sold-out screenings, however, at the 1991 Sundance Film Festival and the Blacklight Film Festival in Chicago led to Kino International distributing the film. Dash worried over a potential staggered release, where a film starts in one city and then expands. That release process often resulted in films not receiving exposure since the audience could not develop. This happened with LA Rebellion's Charles Burnett in his film To Sleep with Anger. Kino International, however, worked with an African-American public relations firm, KGAM3, and distributed the film in simultaneous release. Thus, Daughters made history as the first general release film directed by an African-American woman. Julie Dash continues to work in film and especially television, including a stint on Ava DuVernay's show Queen Sugar. But the films of Dash and the LA Rebellion continue to influence filmmakers.